Hi all, how you doing? It's Chris again. Today we have a really special video for you guys. We're going to have a round table with some really wonderful people, all people that have the DEEMS or have had experiences with the DEEMS. And we're just going to learn from one another and learn how to use the DEEMS device and hear some really wonderful experiences. So I'm going to kind of step out of it unless I have something to say in the middle of it. I'm just going to turn it over and just, let everybody here introduce themselves whenever they do speak, and then just tell us what they have to say, what's on their minds and hearts. So I now officially open the floor.
Thanks, Chris.
Absolutely. So who would like to start with the story?
I guess I'll start since I'm on first
Okay.
one on the left over here. My name is Susie. I'm from New Jersey. I have my DEEMS now maybe about a month. I heard about the DEEMS from Elena. I did go to the JISA conference. I was not able to see the DEEMS there, but I knew I had wanted one, so I ordered one. My experience with it was my husband has problems with his rotator cuff on his right shoulder. So when I got my DEEMS in, I handed it to him and I said, "You're sitting watching TV, just hold it on your shoulder," which he did. And a little while later, I said to him, "How do you feel? What's your experience?" So he said, "No, I don't really know." And he says, he started to move his shoulder, and he said, "I can move my shoulder up." He says, "I couldn't do this before." So and he noticed he was sleeping better because he was having a lot of pain when he was sleeping, and the pain really subsided. As for myself, my own experience with it was a little bit different. So bear with me. I have lower back problems. I have sciatic problems. I have problems with my psoas muscle, which is a muscle that runs along the hip bone, up, around, and into the lower back. So I had just taken the DEEMS and I was sitting at my computer and I just had it on my back, and it was there for quite a while. And what I noticed was I had just some mild soreness to begin with, but after a while I had more pain. So, and I thought that was interesting, and I wasn't concerned because I knew intuitively what it was doing. We carry between our root and our sacral chakra trauma, fears, guilt, all those kinds of energies get stuck within the energy centers and within the muscles. And I could tell that the reason why I was having more pain is the DEEMS was actually pulling it out. It was moving the stuck energy. So I thought that was really, really quite remarkable. And I sleep with it at night because I have problems with my right side, with my hip flexors. I really can't sit Indian style per se when I meditate. So I sit in a chair, and I've noticed now I'm more flexible with that muscle. So I just sleep with it basically at night, right on my hip. So it's really amazing, and I'm looking forward to using it like on other people. Like I have friends who have problems. Like I have one that she also has problems with her shoulder, and so yeah, I mean those are my experiences with it so far. I do sit and meditate with it. Sometimes I'll put like one of my, either my Vogel, or this is another double terminated citrine that I have. I will put it, inside the DEEMS, and I'll sit there and with it between my legs and meditate with it. So that's how I personally use it.
Susie, do you find that one side feels better than the other? Like when you're using it in the areas that were bothering you, did you leave it like on one side for 5 minutes, then the other side for another 5 minutes?
I kind of put it in the center near my spine. So I really didn't do shift from side to side, but when I do sleep with it, I do put it on my right hip. But Serge had said something the other day. We were in a chat with Tina, myself, Serge, and Ju was we're in a chat on, I think, on the Telegram page for this roundtable. And you were saying about how you use it on your feet. So as we were in the chat, I'm sitting on my couch with it on the bottom of my foot, and I could feel the energy. I knew exactly what you were saying. Yeah. But everybody was talking and I didn't want to interrupt. So, but yeah, and it was only like maybe a minute or two, but yeah, I started to feel the tingling and the energy in the bottom of my foot.
You too.
Yeah, it happens pretty quickly.
I tried it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was,
it does. It works fairly quickly on the feet.
Yeah.
I've noticed. Really quickly.
Cool.
It gets the meridian energy moving.
Yeah.
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 Robin was the one that told me I needed to put it in my feet because I had a lot going on up here and I needed it at my feet. So when I went to sleep, I sleep with my DEEMS device a lot. I put it at my feet that night and yes, I felt like, ooh.
It's very grounding. It's very calming. So those who don't understand that it's a gentle frequency. It's not a jolt of the body. It's not going to rock and roll your system. It works gently with the system. I have a nerve disorder in my body. For like 20 years, I went down the rabbit hole with the medicine and the nerve blocks. And yeah, no. Aligning, the DEEMS helps align my nervous system. So my nervous system goes into flight, fight, freeze. So that means it's constantly on. Well, the DEEMS actually helps it release. And all the stuck energy moves graciously where it needs to not create the muscle contractions or the constriction in the blood flow. It keeps the energies moving. Yeah, I pretty much walk around with it because it's just so calming. When you have an overactive nervous system, you're always hyper. You're always like in overload. So it's retraining my body not to be in overload. It's retraining my cellular memory to release and learn a new program. And to me, that's invaluable. That really is just like the top.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I actually, one of the reasons that when I had the memory of the DEEMS, that I wanted to pursue it was because of pain. You know, I have like, you see these scars I have here. Those are from cancer scars. You know, a bunch of cancer in there, but also that when they went in to do a spinal reconstruction, because my whole neck was just crushed, my spinal cord was crushed, and it was bad. They didn't know if I'd ever walk again. So I knew what pain was, you know, and I knew what nerve pain was, and I can't feel my feet. That's why if I injure them like I did recently, I didn't even know, you know, and so it gets really bad. So that was one of my impetus for really pursuing building it, was the fact that nerve pain was so terrible. Yes. You know, because it can either hurt, I mean, it won't hurt at all, and then just suddenly, like you're hit by lightning, it knocks you to the ground.
Yeah, it's debilitating. It literally can't control your life.
Wow. Yeah. And ever since then, I had a similar story that for 20 something years, I had to be on pain medication because of my two separate spinal injuries, you know, and after I built the DEEMS, I'm like, I've got to get off that. It was a rough ride, but I haven't taken any medication since I built the DEEMS device, you know, for pain, you know.
Me either.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have that hope for myself.
Many pain clinics would get great use out of this.
Absolutely.
Instead of the rabbit hole of the pharmaceuticals, make sure everybody gets a DEEMS.
That will make the pharmaceutical companies very happy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless they owned it, but they still probably screw it up. Well, I want to hear what you were talking about the other day, Serge. My interest is piqued in that, what you were doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I only received it a couple of weeks ago. And already the first day I noticed differences. So I was using it as you showed in your videos with the chakras moving up and down, or basically moving your way up first with the vortex facing you for a few seconds, and then you just sort of see how you feel, which side feels better. That will be the one that's more needed for you. But with the feet, so I would start as well with the vortex facing the feet, and just let's say that's the sole of my feet, just in the middle section. And then because you've got chakras aligned as well, the 7 chakras that sort of correlate with the main ones, then I noticed with each one where I would keep it, I would feel it in different parts of the body, particularly the legs, whether it be in the calf muscle, the knee, the hamstring, thigh. So, and I just sort of play around with that. And I noticed when I would flip it around, I would really feel any sort of stress or darker, denser energies, thoughts even, would just be leaving the body through that. And it really, really relaxed me to the point where you could quite quickly even fall asleep. So, and I've got some ankle injuries. My whole life, I've gone through sports and things like that. I've twisted my ankle quite a few times, particularly the right ankle. So I would use it on the ankle as well. And like Susie, I wasn't up until very recently, I wasn't able to sit in meditation cross-legged. What would happen is my my ankles would go numb. First, they would start hurting because the ligaments are quite weak, and then they would just go numb after 10 minutes or so. And I think it was 2 days ago, I did a breathing exercise that goes for about 20 minutes, and afterwards they were completely fine. And I'd only used it less than 2 weeks. And I've noticed the strength around the ankles and the tendons and ligaments and all that is, I would say, at least 20-30% stronger just in the few days that I've been using it on the ankles. But that, with the energy just sort of leaving the body, you can really feel it, and kind of like a flush happening from up here all the way down. And then I would switch, put it on the other foot. And what was I going to say there? So with one foot, I remember the vortex side felt better. On my right foot, the release side felt better. And I've been doing that pretty much every day now. And also, like Dawn, she said that she sleeps with it. So I've been now for the last night was, I believe, the 3rd night that I've been sleeping with mine as well, because I wasn't sure how long you can use it for. I remember in your video you said you don't want to exceed maybe an hour or so. I guess that all depends on the person. Some person may only be able to do an hour. Someone can maybe do 6. Who knows? So I guess you really have to trial and error for yourself. And another thing as well, I wanted to ask you, because I wanted to really experiment with it. So, and like with sunlight, water, and all that, is it safe to go in water? I imagine it would be, but I want to make sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're electroplated, they're dipped in a water or vinegar kind of a solution, and then they're washed. So yeah, I would just watch it, or rather I would dry it once you have it out. So it can go in water. I just wouldn't leave it in water, just you don't want to corrode it.
Yeah. And even distant healing, I've been wondering what it would be like if both the practitioner and the subject had the DEEMS device. And let's say you're talking over the phone, you have on the side somewhere, and then you're saying, let's say, for example, now we're moving up into the heart chakra. And so the subject then holds it there, and then the practitioner focuses on that, whether that would amplify the energy. So that's something I'd like to experiment with. That'd be really interesting to know.
Sounds, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Has anyone done that? I don't know. Anyone in the group, have you done that yet? Or
I'd be interested in doing it with you, Serge. If you've got one, we can totally practice with each other and figure that one out.
Sure.
Or
Very
even
interesting.
you, John
Good.
and CM.
Yeah, I'd totally be down for trying that sometime.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be cool.
Yeah, speaking of distance healing, let's talk a little bit about that, because what we're all learning more and more all the time is that there is no such thing as distance in time and time in healing, that it's quantum, so it's instantly anywhere. So let's hear some stories about that. I know some of us have some good ones.
Deanne, you want to tell yours?
So
Yeah.
you go ahead, because it's actually kind of your, your story. Or I can start why I asked you to help heal. Okay, well, anyway, I'm Sian, and I have stage 4 breast cancer, and I was having some knee pain on top of the other pain that I have with my cancer, and Dawn was gracious enough to do a distance healing with me. And she just said, just relax, chill out, rest, and we'll go from there. And I had no idea like that she was working on my knee, except that I could actually feel this, like I could kind of feel this, her focusing on, I could feel this focus on my knee, and I could actually feel the pain being lifted from my knee. And it was only until like when I finally actually talked to her afterwards and we were kind of debriefing about the healing session that she actually mentioned that that was the knee that seemed to be having more pain. And
Right. I wasn't aware that she was having any pain anywhere. I was just testing it out. So I mean, I could feel that there was a lot of energy that needed to come out of that specific knee. So when I told her, she was like, "Oh, I have been having issues on that knee." But the pulling with the DEEMS device over her knee, I was holding it right over it. So when I'm doing my long distance healings, I'm using one side for a few, and then my hand with the symbols and scanning the area. And then I'll flip it and wait as well and just do it the other. But there's the intuition or whatnot will come along, and I felt myself doing this, like, get out, like get out. And it was helping.
I could feel that. Like I could
Yeah.
actually I could feel something like being pulled like out of my knee. And it was really interesting, like, because of it, I could actually feel that. And there's such a distance, like I said, that I'm in Alberta and Dawn's in Florida, and that I could actually energetically feel this, that she was pulling this out of my knee. It was just amazing.
I was in shock myself. I'm still in shock every
Yeah.
time I do it every time I do it, I'm in shock.
It's just proof that it works. It is amazing.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, and the thing that I kind of try to make sure people understand is that the device isn't physically doing anything but emitting a field, a magnetic field and a piezoelectric field. And the magnetic field and piezoelectric, both of those energies are what our body uses, especially our nervous system. Like our pineal gland has some fluid, like sort of like our retina. It's like a thick fluid, but within it are calcite crystals, and so it creates pressure on these crystals, and what it does is it creates electrical impulses, and that's piezoelectric energy. So our consciousness is attached to our pineal through piezoelectric energy. And then our nervous system, we all know that there's like, you can feel shooting pain sometimes because you got these electrical signals going through, and that's all piezoelectric energy. But the difference is with the device, it never changes. It's always just creating these two fields, and then allows your body to choose what to do with the energy, unless you have a conscious thought, like you have an intention, like you want to heal a specific body, and then your higher self kind of steps in and assists that. So what we do as healers, as we all know, is we're not actually the one doing the healing. It's the higher self of the person that you're working on. We're just the conduit. And the DEEMS is the same way. We're just a conduit.
Without without the healing part, I wanted to put in without the healing part so that people understand that if they're not healers or whatnot, it really is working. My sister came in with a horrible limp. She couldn't put her foot down at all. She had been on the treadmill, messed up her foot on the treadmill. And when she got to my house to pick up my nephew, she was limping. Like it was hurting her to even just place her foot down. I had just gotten the DEEMS device that day. So I said, let me try this on you and see if it works. So I had it over her ankle for not even 5 minutes because she had to go. She really had to go. It was only 5 minutes. And she was able to plant her foot and actually roll it walking out of my house. So that right there is without healing, without me, focusing any energy. That was all the DEEMS device by itself. Another time was when my little one was very sick. She had the stomach flu really bad, and her tummy pains were horrible. She had headaches that were horrible, and when we have little ones and we tend to freak out sometimes, we forget all these things that we can try to put together. So I remembered I had the DEEMS device at the time, and I put it over her head for her headache, then over her tummy, so she kind of got the idea. And whenever it would subside, and if it came back, she would grab it and put it where she needed it to go herself. And she's like 6 years old. So it was helping her, and she would just put it there and just stay there, I like to have it sometimes when I do have headaches. I'll put it real close. For me, it works closer when I have it right there touching me, and it helps my headaches go away. I haven't had to take any medication for my headaches either. And I have a really bad shoulder that was causing pain through my back, the top of my shoulder, the back of my shoulder, all down my arm and into my fingers, and even wrist issues, which this has helped big time. I haven't had to go get anything done or anything. I'm able to use my arm. Like I couldn't even lift it up. It would just stop right here. And now I'm like, I can, go up, and that's not even healing myself. This is just using it, and I'm going to sleep with it, and I'll put it where I need it. And whatever side feels best. If I feel like sometimes I'm a little bit sensitive to one side than the other, it depends on how I'm like, I'm hyper sometimes. So I'll be like, oh my gosh, there's too much going in my head. Let me turn it around the other way, and then that will usually do the trick. So I was like, you got to figure out which side is helping me that day. So I'll put it under my pillow, or I also put it in where my tummy is, or my back. I used to have really bad back pains and was always achy. I'm not achy anymore ever since I got the DEEMS device. I sleep with it, and I have no aches at all. My mom came to me with neck pain as well. That was no healing either. I put it behind her neck, over her head, by her temples, and she has not had that neck pain since. Okay, so this is no healing. This is just DEEMS device by itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Our body knows what to do with that energy when it's so strong. In fact, the National Institute of Health on their own website talks about the positive uses for neodymium magnets. Because the government knows it works. It's just they don't they don't do much with it. They say it helps in cellular regrowth and in pain relief
and inflammation.
Yes.
Oh,
Inflammation, you get the inflammation down, that's half the battle. Like that's where the movement really starts, once you get the inflammation down. So yeah, it's incredible.
it is.
So we haven't heard from a couple more of you. So come on, somebody step in and tell us what you got going. I'm excited to hear it.
I'll say hello. I'm Catherine, and I got the DEEMS device about a month and a half ago. And actually, I use the DEEMS device on my dog because he's older. He's 12 now, and he has a bit of hip dysplasia. Can you hear me good?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so what I've been doing with him for his pain, because he has pain in his hips where he's limping and kind of he's off, he'll kind of jolt to the side, where he's definitely feeling pain. So I lay him down and he sniffed it first. When he first saw it, he sniffed it, and he was good with it. So I just laid him down, and I'm telling you, he just totally relaxed and let me. First, what I did was I put the negative side on to pull out any negative energies that was going on at that moment. And then I turned it over and mentally was sending him pain relief. I was mentally sending him healing energy. I'm imagining his cartilage and his hip joint and the bone and the socket and the inflammation going away and having everything kind of go back to normal as it could be for a 12-year-old dog. And um he just lays there for a good 15 minutes, and he'll almost drool because he's so relaxed. And then he'll kind of get up and he'll roll over to his other side, and I'll do his other hip, because for what I understand is that when one side is in pain and hurting, the other side, even though it's fine, it will overcompensate for the muscles and everything. So that can also cause issues down the road. So then I would use it on the other side of his hip too. So both sides, and he got right up and he was walking straight, and he had this big smile on his face, and he loves it. And then when I got it, I had it on the kitchen table in the box still. My female cat, who's about 8 years old, who has had this urinary tract infection, she'll sleep on the box. Like, I didn't even think to use it on her, but instinctively she will go and she will sleep on the box. And so that's my story. My animals, my pets, it's really, really, really helped with them. So
Wow. And there's no placebo effect with our pets, is there? It's just like,
no.
it's as pure as you can get.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I recommend it for animals, and like I said, I when I do healing, I'm doing the intuitive imagining that I put that goes through. That's my intention. And so, yeah.
Well, that's the key. The key is that we create our reality. It's our thought. Thought is love. Love is creation. Love is source. That's the source of all energy. So it's going to heal and repair, so that, I think that's one of the big things I'd like the vast majority of people to understand, is that we are creating our own reality, whatever that might be. And whatever it takes for us to create a better reality, often it's, because we've been taught for so long that we are powerless, we don't have the ability, that we don't have that connection. So if we need a device or something to help us focus that right now, I think that's fantastic, so it makes me really proud and happy.
Oh yeah. When I first I was at the last year's GSIC, and you were there with your device, and I got, thankfully, at the end of the line, and thankfully you were still there, and I got to hold it because I wanted to see for myself, what kind of energies this thing has. And I'm telling you, I immediately, like, I could feel, I put it here on my forehead, and I could feel just this massive grounding occurring at the time from like head, like I would, and that was great. And I thought to myself, your tent wasn't open, but I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I have to get one. I have to get one. This is this is new. This is great. This is a game changer.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. It's I see it as a tool for us all to remember who we are and how powerful we are.
Yeah.
You know, we won't need it after a while. We can be able to remember all that on our own, but until then, we need little things to help us on. So who else?
Well,
I guess. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm Jew. What Catherine just said about her thinking, "Oh my gosh, I have to get one." That's basically how I felt after I first heard about it when Elena first mentioned it. She was, I think it was, she was saying something about it harnesses 0 point energy from the void. And when I heard that, you know, I had been reading and researching all about like universal energy and how it's actually, you know, like a chi. We talk about chi energy and prana and all these things, and I feel like it's all the same thing,
Yes.
pretty much. So I was just thinking, you know what, wouldn't it be cool if someone, you know, built like a free energy device, like a portable free energy device, and just made it available, and not long after that, you know, was when I heard about this, so I just had to get it, and it's just, and I've had it for 18 months, and it's just so much like, I feel like it's a part of my life now, like a big part of my life now. Like whenever I don't really have major health issues. I feel very lucky and blessed. But like whenever I do get aches and pains once in a while, like if I even have as much as a stiff neck, I just immediately use it. And I sit in front of the computer a lot, so like my shoulders get very tense and tight at times. So and I feel like it helps with that, like the pain just goes away immediately. You know, it's really amazing that way. And yeah, like I do qigong, things like that, because I feel like a lot of healing is there are just so many aspects of healing that, like, you know, it's one of them is repairing our DNA, restoring our original blueprint. So and I do meditations to do that, like reconnecting with our higher selves. And I've been working on like integrating this, you know, into that. I feel like it's such a big help. And yeah, so it you know, I rarely buy anything on impulse, you know, and but this is one of the few times I did, and I'm so glad, you know, and just hearing, you know, all you guys like in your stories, it's just so exciting and gratifying.
Well, we're glad to, you know, hear that, you know, because I was really glad earlier, Dawn, when you said, I think it was you, that made a point that you don't have to be a healer, you know, that the device just interacts with all of our system, so our body generally knows what to do with it. And, so it's like, no, you don't have to, you can just use it for pain relief, too. So I'm glad you said that. And I just wanted to reiterate that. But
Yeah,
I'm not one to buy anything on impulse either. I hadn't tried the DEEMS device, but one of my great grandmothers was a healer in Cuba that used an imong, which is a magnetic piece of magnet, I guess. And she would feed it like other little metals and stuff. So she had something similar, or they knew something, she knew something similar. And my mom recalls her, using this magnet over people and healing them from tummy aches, malices, and whatever they felt. So when you mentioned that the DEEMS device was this magnetic piezoelectric device, I was like, I have to have this. I was just learning about my great grandmother and all this history of my family that I didn't know before. So, I believe that she was a healer. My mom saw her herself, and she was witness to this stuff. So I was like, if this stuff is coming back, I want it. So that's the impulse buy, the connection with my great grandma.
cool. Well, we have Marvel and Lauren. We haven't heard from either one of you yet.
Yes. Hi. I actually don't have a DEEMS device, but I have two pretty special accounts about the DEEMS device. The first one would be recently my best friend's dog was mauled by a bear and got extreme injuries to his neck and his torso. And I kind of went into one of our many Telegram groups and was asking the girls, please, can you help me? Any kind of Reiki or DEEMS device? Can you just work on this animal? Because we weren't sure at the time if she was going to make it, but fortunately she did make it. And not only that, her recovery time was so fast. She had bruising, black and blue, on the side of her neck, and within 2 days all the bruising was gone. It was night and day. So it really just showed me how powerful even working as a group on somebody to heal damaged tissue and muscle. And it was just amazing to watch her just progressively get better day by day by day. Another incident was at GSIC. I had a booth there. I was selling my crystals. And one day at the conference, I just got this excruciating headache, and it was like a headache I've never experienced before. I almost felt like it was dental, or I had a cavity or something, but I was in such pain. And fortunately, I ran into Brittany, your niece, there. She was working the booth. And I pretty much was like, could you please help me? I'm in so much pain. I was considering like leaving the event altogether. And she took the DEEMS device and she ran it over my body. She ran her hands over me doing Reiki at the same time. And immediately it was relief. It was gone. I was just so amazed. I went out and I started talking to her mom. I was like, your daughter is amazing. Like, the device and her gift she's just a beautiful person. And I'm so appreciative that she helped me. And I ended up gifting her a crystal through that whole experience, because it was just, I felt so much better after that. And I can really feel the difference immediately. So that's my experience with the DEEMS device. I also got to play with my friends for a little bit, and just like running it over my body and experiencing the energy. I really felt what was happening in my field, and it was just amazing. I loved it, and I look forward to having my own one day.
Yeah, we'll have to, make that happen.
Yeah.
So I guess it's my turn. First, I'm going to say it's an instant calmer. It's as soon as I feel a little anxiety, I just grab it and I just hold it. And the coolest story I have about it, I've had mine, I think it was in 2021, maybe is when I got it. Elena had done a show on her YouTube channel about it, and then I had ordered it, and it came pretty quick. So I've used it a lot on my children and myself and my animals. The most recent story is my 7-year-old. She was outside playing basketball with her brother, and she came in through our garage, and we have a really heavy garage door that goes into the house from the garage. It's like a metal door. And I guess she was rushing to get in, and she quickly closed the door, and her foot was in the way. So the bottom of the door grabbed onto one of her toes and kind of like put a huge gash in it and like messed her toenail up. And she came upstairs crying hysterical. So I said, all right, calm down. I cleaned it because it was bleeding. I cleaned it. And then I told her to get comfortable. And right away, I think I have to get the DEEMS. So I get the DEEMS device. She starts to calm down. I start to just gently here, if this was her foot, and it was her, I think it's her middle toe. I just took it gently over, and she was like, no, don't touch. I said, I'm not going to touch. Because sometimes I actually like the cooling of it. It's a very calming feel just to feel it like touching you. It's like, oh gosh. So I just went over her foot at the tip of her foot where it was cut, and then all the bottom of her foot. And I just did this for honestly, probably like 4 minutes. And she was in so much pain that she wasn't able to put any pressure on it. And I thought, all right, how's she going to go to school tomorrow? So I had done the DEEMS for about 4 minutes. She went to bed that night, woke up in the morning. She was walking on it. She's like, I can go to school. I'm okay. I said, all right. So it was bandaged. And I said, let me just do the DEEMS one more time before you go to school. Like probably it might have been a minute. I did the same thing on it that I did the night before. And so I sent her to school with her like flip-flop type shoes on, like a slide, so that the bandage wouldn't be smushed in a sneaker. And when she came home, she had no bandage on, and she ran down the driveway. She's like, Mom, I don't know what happened, but I don't even, like, I took off the bandage because I didn't even feel it anymore. Like I couldn't even tell I was hurt. And I was like, wow, let me look at it. She was like, look. And the only thing that was left was like, a small scab where the cut was, and her the toenail was black and blue a little bit. And she's like, look, I can't even like touch it. I was like, whoa. That was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like that was a 24-hour period, and she was like, fine. I mean, it was ugly too. I was like, oh gosh, I have a hard time looking at blood and cuts and stuff. And I was thinking this is going to be a tough one to get rid of, because toe and, you're on your feet all the time. And literally within 24 hours, she was like, this is great. This is the coolest thing ever. She's like, can you bring it? Can I do it again? Let's do it again. So it's an instant calmer. And I also have a 17-year-old who's very athletic. He's always, he does everything. So he'll come to me and he'll say, Mom, my shoulder, I know I got hit the other day and I can't move it. So I'll just take it and I'll tell him to relax, and I'll just gently run this thing over his shoulder, both sides. And he'll say, whoa, like I can feel it in my hand. Like I can feel it's going down my arm. I can feel this energy. I'm like, yeah, don't deny it. And so he's always coming to me like, Mom, you got, DEEMS me. I'm like, don't ask me for ibuprofen. Don't ask me for Tylenol. Come to me and let's do some DEEMS work. So those are my two most recent ones. And I do sleep with mine as well. My husband is a little jealous. I'm like, listen, this is my go-to whenever I have any type of ache or pain, or if I'm feeling anxiety. It's like an instant anxiety reliever. It's really incredible. So I'm just, yeah. That's my two recent.
Well, I think those are both great. You know, I think so many people have kind of reported back that they're kind of showing their kids how to use it. And it turns out that a lot of them kind of already know how to use it. You know, it's fascinating to me. It blows me away all the time. But hey, we got Mervat.
Hi, Mervat.
Thank you. Hi, Dawn. Hi. Hello.
Hi. Well, I think we've just kind of been really casual and having discussions about some of our experience, and your timing is perfect. You know, you be the next one up.
Oh, great. So since I received the DEEMS device, I've been feeling a lot of subtle energies. I'm very sensitive, so I feel it. And I do feel something taking place. It's like something is moving, something is shifting. I do have a tendency to have a lot of tension in my neck and shoulders. You know, it's the heaviness of life and stress and what have you, the everyday hustle and bustle. And I use this every day on my neck and shoulders. It's like the best thing. And then right behind my ears and you know, where my biggest nerve is. And I think it just calms and it totally just I don't have to go to the chiropractor like I used to. That's one thing I used to go 2-3 times a week to get adjusted, and I don't have to do that because I'm snap, crackling, and popping. After I do this, I'm like snap, crackle, pop. I'm doing my own adjustments. So and the chiropractor keeps calling me, why are you not coming back? I'm not telling you. Maybe a little later. Because they're a little foo-foo and
Putting them out of business.
Yeah. Yeah. I got
I love that. That's great. You know, and it's really brings up a good point about if we can get our nerves flowing, you know, freely and unblocked, you know, then our body can heal itself. It's just because we're not running around like we used to barefoot in the dirt. I mean, I do, but a lot of people don't. And so you kind of ground.
Not New Jersey in the winter.
No.
Yeah, well,
Not
where I'm at,
Pennsylvania.
you can do it all year long and be just fine.
And I'm in Houston. You could do it here, but you got to be careful. You're not going to walk over fire ants. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I lived in Houston for quite a few years.
They're not everywhere. I'm not trying to make it that dramatic, but yeah, you have to take care of your lawn and what have you. So yeah, it's doable, but yeah, I would say also I have IBS. I'm very sensitive to foods. I have to eat. I do intermittent fasting and I try to eat very light. If I eat too much or eat certain combinations, even if it's healthy food, my stomach will just, you know, it'll stop digesting. It'll literally stop digesting. And when this thing was like a saving grace, I'm telling you, I feel it like it's like telling the food, okay, digest, and just working on my stomach, my intestines. This has been amazing. I can't tell you how amazing this is. So thank you.
What do you do when you're like using it on your tummy? Do you just like do you rub it with it or?
Yeah, all of that. It's like rubbing you know, like like you're rubbing your child's belly. I'm rubbing my belly. And I'm talking to myself at the same time, telling my stomach to because I get swelled, my stomach swells up and it gets hard like a rock, kind of like Braxton Hicks contractions, but it's my digestion. And that's what happens is when I manifest stress, it's in my shoulders, behind my ears. I don't know what that area is called, this tendon, my neck, and then my stomach. So I do affirmations with this that helps. So I say, I digest all my emotions and fears with grace and ease. And when I say that and when I believe it, it's like a muscle is like this, and then it goes like this. So with this too. So this is amplified it.
Yeah. Well, I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
And it really is about our thinking and our own ability to manifest.
Yeah, that's true for sure. Yeah.
We are very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mind is very powerful. It is true. I know some people that are hypochondriac and they won't leave their houses anymore. And I know people that go out and they're popping pills all the time. So it's like, everything with the moderation. Sometimes you need that. You need a Tylenol or Advil. It's not like I never do that, but this has been a game changer because I used to get an adjustment every 3 weeks plus do dry needling acupuncture. I just carry a lot of stress in my shoulders and my neck. And I'm like, sometimes I feel like I need somebody, an invisible hand to carry my neck because I feel like my head is too heavy for my body. I don't know if that makes sense. That's the kind of pain I
Wow.
have.
I get
all
that.
the time.
Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Like I want a neck hammock everywhere I go. Like I need my higher self to carry myself.
Yeah.
A neck hammock, that's great.
Neck hammock, higher self. Like, yeah.
Grab my husband's shoulder. Can you stay there for a minute?
Yeah. So, but this is amazing. I love it. How long y'all been on?
A little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're about 50 minutes, something like that. So we have some more time, and I just want to make sure everybody had a chance to speak up. First and foremost. And now that we've kind of had that, let's whatever you guys want to talk about.
Sure.
I've noticed it does decompress as well. So I've been going to the chiropractor since October last year. Got some, when I've been I'd go to Reiki session or a remedial massage, and then to the chiropractor because I've got some past life injuries as well, and my shoulders are pretty crappy. Now they're much better actually. In the last 2 weeks I've been using it. So I would notice that they weren't both in the same place. One would sort of be more forward, the other one more back. And I would notice that. And now every day I'm noticing more and more that they're just way more aligned and there's much less tension or not spasms, but I would have just weird episodes where it feels like it's not in place and I have to keep adjusting and I don't know which way to move it, what to do about it. And since I've been using this, I'll use it all over and I'll spend a good 5-10 minutes, even more sometimes, on each shoulder. And I've noticed they're really aligned now. This one I had a really bad dislocation in a car crash over 10 years ago. My shoulder was down here.
Oh my gosh.
So I lost a couple of the muscles in the back there. And I've noticed even that's now strengthened in the last couple of weeks. And then with this one, when I'm rolling it, it does weird cracks.
Yeah.
And after I use it, it doesn't crack anymore. And then later on, it'll start maybe a little bit, but I've noticed it's happening less and less now. So I think within a few days or a couple of weeks, that will also most likely disappear. And where else I've been using on the neck, I just feel really nice decompression. Like,
oh yeah, right.
Very hard to put. It's like a really nice energy sensation that you feel in there, and you don't really want to move it away. So I'll spend a good time. I'll be watching TV, for an hour or so, hour and a half, and I'm just all over the body using it. And now, last night and today, I'm using it on my hand. I actually injured my hand last night playing futsal, which is indoor soccer. And what happened was I went to kick the ball, and there was a guy behind my shoulder I didn't really see. As I went to swing to get that momentum, I smacked him in the head so hard, like right here on the forehead. And hitting the forehead is really hard. You can break your hand very easily.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the professional fighters have broken, their forearms or hands doing that. And it was so painful the whole time. And when I got home, within about, I would say 10, 15 seconds after using it. It was almost like a click happened, and about 80% of that pain was gone. I still feel now, if when I was doing this yesterday during the game, it was quite painful. Now I don't really feel anything, but there's certain movements, if I'm doing it or pressing in certain spots where I feel it more, but much less than it was last night when I was playing. I couldn't really even touch it, or if I would swing my arm too fast, it would hurt. And I would say altogether now it's at least 70 to 80% better just after it. And it's not even bruised. I was sure it was going to bruise and swell up, but nothing's happened. So I'm really, really amazed, because that was like the universe giving me another reason to use it. Hey, test it out this way now. See, because I've not really used it with pain so much in that sense. It's just been more with discomfort or things that aren't in place, and like that with the feet as well. It affects the whole body, as I said, when you're using it on the feet. And
You know, I want
last
to,
week,
sorry, go ahead.
what were you saying?
No, I was just going to mention that even bringing it into a room, it can change the energy of the room that you put it in. So I was just going to ask Chris, I wanted to know, I remember something about, you had mentioned there's like a certain amount of feet around it that where it works on the energy. And I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry about that. But I wanted to say that when you bring it into a room, it actually uplifts the energy in that room too. So it's pretty wild. I'm sorry, I didn't.
I'm carrying it from the post office. I went because I wasn't home when they delivered it, so I had to pick it up from the post office. Carrying it in my bag, I noticed the energy, you know.
You feel it, yeah.
Like, I can't wait to open this up, have a go. But yeah, and last week as I was using it, because I felt such a release of all the energies from using it on my feet, that like the next day or a couple of days later, I actually became sick. Because all the old energies have left, it's made space for the new ones. And I've really noticed the higher frequencies hitting the body. And often what will happen is you'll exhibit certain symptoms, like flu-like symptoms and things like that, because the body's only just getting used to trying to adjust to all these new energies. And I know that was the case because I'm never really sick. I try to keep the body alkaline, and I also do intermittent fasting, as can't remember who said that. Was it
Merivat.
or Merivat? Yep. And lost my trail of thought there. So what I've noticed there is it really does help with all of, especially using on the feet, because I was sick for about 3 or 4 days, and my energies were a little bit out of whack there. And I noticed I wasn't very grounded, so I do a barefoot bushwalk, which I love to do. They're really fun. And then after about 3, 4 days, I noticed, and I felt this huge shift happen. I was just sat on the couch the other night, working with it, watching something, and all of a sudden it was like I had a download of some sort, and all of the worries just went. I was worried about this. I was like, I hate being sick. I just want to be healthy, you know. And it was literally like a click, and the room just got brighter all of a sudden. Don't know if that's happened to anyone else by using that. Like the head's lighter, the body's lighter. Everything's moving more freely. So it's done this really, really, really big release. And since then, I have felt incredible. And sleeping with it under the pillow as well. Normally, because I wake up quite early for work, around 5:30. But until like by then, I'll always wake up a couple of times. Once around 3, and then again maybe around 4:30, something like that. And now 3 nights in a row, I've slept with under the pillow. Once I fall asleep, I don't wake up till it's time to wake up.
Yes.
Nice.
There's no more midnight waking up, none of that nonsense. So that's really
I've
good.
experienced that. Yep.
It's really good.
What you were saying about being sick, that's kind of what happened to my back, because I was using it on my back, and it just pulled out, and all of a sudden I was like, wow, my back hurts even more. But I knew what it was doing. It was just moving all that energy like through the muscles and out.
Often when you're healing, whether it's with the DEEMS device or Reiki, or even just through thought, and you're trying to heal something, it starts to hurt. That's an indication that it's starting to work. Yeah,
because there are people that have the experience of, like you say, of pain in maybe an area they weren't even expecting, to have some pain, But it's a process that what it's looking like, and what I'm seeing more and more is that the energy needs to break down basically blockages, within the nervous system because of inflammation or any number of things, but also because we have emotional, it's our fascial system, a nervous system holds on to emotion, and that will also cause blockages. And those things kind of have to go. And when those work out, I had one lady tell me about, she picked up the device and she just got so angry. She was just like really
Wow.
seething angry. And then,
Wow.
and then she put it down, and then she said, well, I was already angry. I'd been angry for many years. She said,
Bitter.
but I realized what it was doing was drawing it out of me,
Like
Nice.
she was having a healing crisis probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess one thing that, for people that are just getting into this and just looking into energy work is, you'll know intuitively if you're say if you have the DEEMS or somebody's working on you, even if it's distance, and you're having pain. I had this interview with this one lovely woman from Finland today, and she was experiencing or expressing that she was kind of in public on, they were using the DEEMS 20 minutes for free, and she had waiting 2 hours of line, and she finally got there. She was one of the last, and she'd never experienced it, and she was feeling this tremendous pain in her uterus area.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
but she knew intuitively what that was old trauma, because she had a really difficult experiences in her childhood based, on some sexual issues, and so she realized. So she said for about 10 minutes she was screaming in pain on the table in front of all these strangers.
Oh.
And everybody's kind of
Yeah.
freaking out a little bit, but she's kept saying, no, don't stop. I know it's, it's
Working.
releasing
Like
something.
it was like
Yeah.
good pain. It was like good
Yeah.
pain. Probably.
Exactly.
Yes.
So she was like, if she was letting go of those years of trauma, and so it's
Wow.
like our bodies are amazing if we begin to understand them.
And
Yeah.
allowing it to express that anger, express that pain, and let it go.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Once we let it go, we don't ever have to experience it again.
So
But sometimes
freeing.
we have to experience it in the moment to understand it and let it go, and thank
Mhm.
goodness that, we're beginning to learn that more and more about trauma as well as just physical pain.
I wanted to go back and
Yeah.
talk about how good sleep it has
Oh,
given, like and the chiropractor. One of my daughter's friends, 14 years old, always has to say the chiropractor has back issues, has a bunch of issues. But when she's come over and slept over, I told her, hey, sleep with the DEEMS device, see how you feel the next morning. And when she woke up, she was like, I have not slept that good. I can't even remember. She said that she even drooled of how much she got some good
That's
sleep. That's nice. So every time she sleeps over, she's like, can I borrow the DEEMS device? I'm like, yes, yes, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, I would actually like to, hear a little bit more about Cyan. You were telling me before we started recording about some experiences that you wanted to share.
I guess just that I'm learning how to try to use the DEEMS to heal my cancer. I know it's a big, working with metastatic breast cancer is kind of a really tall order when you have a lot kind of going on and it's that advanced. It's a lot to kind of try to kind of work with, but I'm just kind of taking, small steps to try to kind of do sort of, what I can to kind of, as an adjunct with my treatment that I'm taking, just to kind of try to help work with my pain that I'm having, because I do have quite considerable amount of pain. I do take medication for the pain, but this is to try to kind of help me with that as well. I do have, like, I have rods, titanium rods in my legs because my I have bone metastases, so I needed to have my I had to have my femurs kind of reinforced. So for people, I would say for people that, you know, are concerned about getting the DEEMS, that, you know, are worried about the having titanium, because titanium, from my understanding, doesn't react. I haven't had any issues at all with using the DEEMS. For me, it's been completely fine. And I have a port as well, a port placement, and I haven't had any problem. My port has titanium in it as well, and I've had no issues with that as well. So for anyone that is looking, that is a cancer patient that is looking, you know, potentially at a DEEMS, if they have, those are questions they might have, I've used mine and I've had no concerns with it at all.
And
My husband,
has it helped
sorry.
with your pain? You know, I just wanted to, I'm not trying to, this isn't a commercial. I'm
Yeah.
like, I genuinely want to know, I mean, are you okay? Does it help you?
It does help. It's my pain is very bad. Like it's quite substantial. So it does help. You know, it's I need to work on it. Like I'm actually really, it's great for me to be part of a roundtable like this, because then I can also learn from everyone else on how kind of they're using the DEEMS. Because I wasn't at the conference last year, so I haven't actually been able to kind of see how to use it. I've just been watching, you know, your videos, and so I've kind of been sort of having to teach myself how to use it. So it's been really helpful for me to kind of hear from everybody else sort of what they've been doing. And yeah, I do find it does help. It does help, but my pain is very severe.
Yeah.
So I would need to probably have it on me like 24 hours a day, but I am starting to kind of work with it more, for sure. Like use it every day.
Do you sleep
So-
with it? I'm curious
I
because my
haven't
sister.
been sleeping with it, but I definitely think I'm probably going to. It's one of those things where I'm kind of worried about like inadvertently putting it on top of my phone. So I'm kind of,
Yeah.
so I haven't been, but I think I'm going to try sleeping with it and seeing how that works. Because I do think that would help. I have a Vogel, so I'm really interested in, you know, what are the possibilities of learning how to use, like my Vogel, I don't think is too skinny for my DEEMS, but I'd really love to try to learn more about like the possibilities of what can we do with like a Vogel crystal and a DEEMS.
Put that teacher's putty on there and get it.
Yeah,
Get it to
like
stick.
I want to know kind of more about what I can do with that, for sure. And
I know what pain you're talking about. My sister complains about the same thing because she is dealing with the same thing. So when she comes over, she shoves it like right in her
I
back.
actually have it right now. I have my DEEMS. It's right here. I have it actually in my lower back right now.
That's exactly where she puts it.
Because my tumor, one of my bad tumors was right in my sacrum. So I have it kind of like sitting right at my back right now.
I'm gonna have to let her borrow it to sleep with it and see, because I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, my daughter uses mine like all the time. My husband suffers from migraines and he uses the DEEMS, and my daughter, she quite often has very bad period pain, and a lot of times I give her the DEEMS and she uses that. So it gets a lot of use in our house, for sure.
Yes.
So
It's like it's become a
just for
household
me.
to have, a must have, like, you know how you have your medicine cabinet full, like this, you have to have this in your household. Like that's it.
What I do with mine is, I don't know if you can actually see this.
Oh, that's
I actually
great.
I just use a rubber band and I just kind of, and it kind of
Genius.
keeps it like.
That's a good idea. I never thought of that.
Excellent
There
idea.
you go.
It's a great idea. I'll have to try
Yeah.
that.
That's brilliant.
Cyan, I have a question
And
because you
I've
you
thought
mentioned
of-
that you have titanium,
Hmm.
and my husband has a titanium shoulder replacement and hip, and
Yeah.
I was always afraid to use it close to those areas. So I was just curious to know, do you ever put it close to where you have the titanium, and
I've
you
never
don't have
had a-
any issues? Yeah,
I've never had a problem either.
awesome.
No. And I have metal in my feet as well. And like I had bunion
Okay.
surgery on my feet and I've never had any problem with it. Now I'm not saying, use your discretion.
Sure.
I don't want to get Chris in trouble. Use
Yeah,
your
no.
discretion. But I've never personally had any problems with it. So
Okay.
it hasn't been a problem for me.
And
That's
I will
awesome.
say that I also, you see these scars, that's what I was saying earlier about the cancer surgery and the rebuilding of my neck. There's like a 5-inch piece of titanium holding my neck together,
Mhm.
Okay.
and I use
Wow.
it in there all the time because titanium isn't
It's-
ferromagnetic. It doesn't really attract. And so the issues would be if somebody had maybe some stainless steel implants, and even then really, it's not going to like pull a screw out of your arm. It's not that strong. But it might pinch it, might pinch your skin.
Sure.
Depends on the
Yeah.
surface of where it is. So that's why I always, tell people, use caution, and
Sure.
because everybody's different. We're built different. We have
Yeah.
different components. So yeah.
When taking off this disc here, can that go both ways like this, or is there
Yeah, I was
just
gonna
one
ask you
particular
that
way?
too.
Yeah, the very first devices that I built, I didn't build it balanced the way that they are now. So I would mark both the magnet and one side of the device, because I would see which one was stronger, and then just tell people to aim it that way because it was a little bit more powerful of a field. But now I'm kind of refining the process a little bit better, and so there's really no difference with the handle itself from one side to the other. It's like all of you have your DEEMS device. Mine's like on the shelf back there. So I don't have it to show you. So the thing that makes a difference is the north or south pole of the actual ring magnet. So it can go either direction.
That's good to know.
Meaning
Yeah.
you can take this off and switch it.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what we're talking about. Okay, because I had laid
Okay, so
mine-
we can do that? We can just use
Yeah.
it.
You know,
Oh, okay, good.
I was gonna ask this. This is one of the right. This has been
Mine has the
puzzling me
red
for a
dot.
month. I'm not active on the Telegram group for the DEEMS device. Just too much going on. But so I put my DEEMS device on my bedroom dresser, and I have a receiver for my my TV, and it
Yes.
just I was like,
Yes.
oh my God. And then the ring was there. I was like, what? And then I put it back on, and I was wondering, I said, okay, which side do I put it on? So, because I know some people did have the red dot here
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well, and I don't. So I was wondering which side, but I'm finding one side is more powerful than the other.
Yeah.
It has more of a pulling with drawing
Yeah.
effect.
And you can
So
tell when you're putting the ring back on, which side's a little stronger. But
Yeah.
ultimately, it doesn't
both work.
matter that much,
Okay.
So it was easier for people just to just stick it back on. It'll still work. If it wants to come off easily one direction and stick better the other, then just put it that way.
I don't know. I just yeah. I played with it both ways, and then I realized that vortex energy a certain other way when I flipped it, it had more power. So I was just
Yeah.
wondering if I had it on wrong for a whole month, or because it still did it, but yeah, switching the ring does make a difference with the device I have. There's a
Yeah.
very big difference.
Also, each of the devices are individual. I find that I'll make them exactly the same, maybe because I try to do, groups at a time, with
Yeah.
order as they come in orders, because
Yeah.
I can get them out more quickly. So, and when I'm finalizing them, when I'm cleaning them, putting the ring back
Yeah.
on, like one of them will be completely different than the rest. You know, and I'm like, you were built exactly the same. What, you know?
Course.
So they
I
have their
know.
own personalities.
Their own
Just-
personality.
Just like
yeah.
our kids.
That's
Well,
great.
is there anything else anybody'd like to say? We can spend the next few minutes and just kind of finish
I
up.
was just curious if we know it works well with our bodies and our animal friends. Has anybody experienced with like plant life? Like just out of curiosity, I don't know if it can be applied to plants as
I
far
have-
as helping them.
I can tell you right now that I keep it in my bedroom most of the time, my DEEMS. And I had an orchid that was beautiful when I got it, and then it dropped all its flowers, and I actually thought it was going to die. And for one day, it's on my husband's side table in the bedroom. I just kept the DEEMS on his side table near it. Don't you know, within like a month, it started to grow a new a
Oh,
shoot,
wow.
whatever it is. And now I have 6 beautiful orchid flower. It flowered again. So yes, I think it does. I think it does affect the plant life. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, I'm excited. Maybe
Yeah.
when I get one, I'll experiment myself with that. Thank you.
Well, all I
Um,
know is I live in the jungle and there's things I can't stop them from growing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I can't tell because everything's so abundant here. But it would make sense that it would, anything that has any sort of electrical field, and plants, you know, do have a minute electrical field. So
I heard you, Chris, mention that you were gonna make the DEEMS device, but something like an Ankh or something larger or something. I heard you mention that before on
yeah, I still want to, and I'm still doing some research on that. But I'm actually working with a gentleman I'm going to interview tomorrow. His name's Larry Bayshore. He's
Mhm.
working with me, and he's like a phenomenal guy. He's an engineer. He's had the device. He's just doing all these different crystals. He's finding out that apophyllite is one of the best crystals, and alabaster. So he's doing all these crystal tests, you know,
Wow.
and so we're, you know, so I'm kind of like refocused again on the device with new technology installed within it, and another Merkaba device, you know, like there'll be a little Merkaba with, like, it'll look like a DEEMS device, but there will be a Merkaba that actually spins inside and
Wow.
creates a
Oh,
new
that's
vortex.
awesome.
So like, I'm so like got all these things I'm trying to work on.
Cool.
That sounds
Um,
like
yeah.
this new trend that came out, but it's like a glass pitcher and it's magnets, and they call it vortex water, or they call it structured water. I don't know if it's aesthetic. It looks aesthetically beautiful. You know, it's like this glass pitcher and this whirling whirlpool, and you can go and drink it anytime. But I don't know if I don't know if that's similar to what you're talking about.
Well, we're finding that the geometric shape of Merkaba, if
Yeah.
you spin it one direction, it attracts. If you spin it the other, it repels. And so I want to integrate that into the DEEMS device so that you're attracting, repelling, and strengthening energy. But that's
great.
going to be an electrical device with the switch and everything on it. So it's like way more, you know.
Wow.
So we're still working on that. But in the meantime, I would love to build some Ankhs, but those require
Fun.
vacuum. They have to be, you know, created and built inside of a vacuum. And I'm finding, because I've been speaking to my guides about, you know, how am I supposed to build this thing? And they're like, well, you know, you're not really set up and prepared for that quite yet. You got to have a, you know,
Chris,
more of a
you're pretty,
laboratory.
you're intuitive. I know you are. You have you probably have like your psychic abilities online too, with all of that, your past. And
Yeah, it helps.
yeah, mine has been coming online since this past year. So I think this is helping, but before I got the DEEMS device, I had a Kundalini, and a light body, like a rainbow body activation. So there were two different events spontaneously out of nowhere. The Kundalini was in a group, I was in a group of people. So that was almost like 9 or 10 months ago. So having this, actually, we're in March. It's going to be a year. It goes by fast, the year.
Yeah.
But having this is probably, going to amplify everything as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot more energy when we have the device. That's just the key to everything, is just allowing us to get over and our lack of energy for so many years.
Right.
So are there any more questions? First and foremost, before we
Let me ask one
wrap
more
up.
question. Are you going to get? I'm sorry, I missed it. Are you going to make any more crystals, or is it on back order? Okay.
Yeah, they did arrive, because I have to have them cut. I have thousands of them cut, so it takes a while. So
But
I am.
We could make our own with a rubber band. So I never
Yeah.
thought about that.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't have to have them for me at all. I just build them in a way that it makes it easier and faster to switch them out, and so it's convenient for people.
Okay.
But yeah, they are coming. And right now, I'm not even building DEEMS devices at the moment. It won't for another couple of weeks or so, because of that foot injury. But for the most part, I'm going to try to have everything on the site at the same time. So
Okay.
keep checking back.
All right, I will. Thank you.
Oh, and I'm having something else I'm going to have brought in. There's these amazing women in northern Thailand that sent me pictures, because there's a bunch of DEEMS in Thailand. They love it there.
Wow.
And they make fabric, this beautiful hand stitched, like not knitting, but it's anyway, it's just like
Cross stitching.
needle point. Is that what's called? They have beautiful needlepoint, fabric that they make, and they make devices or bags to go around their neck for the DEEMS devices. And I said, how many of those can you build? How many can you make?
Oh, wow.
They're making me a couple hundred of them.
Yes.
So I'll have those. It's gonna be just
Wow.
so cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Very-
There's times when I put mine in my pocket and I walk around the house and I'm like, oh, I get stuck to things. I'm like, it'd be a lot nicer to have something I could wear. I'm like, darn it, I forgot. So that'd be really cool. I definitely want one of those. That's awesome.
Yeah, you mentioned my niece earlier, and Brittany, she had it in her pocket like you were talking about, and she went to lean over a deep freeze in a grocery store. She got stuck to it.
Yes. And it's really strong too. I got stuck.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my gosh, like I hope I can get all detached from this. I hope I don't have to take my pants off because it's really strong.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that'd be awesome to get the bags.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll have those in the next couple of months.
Awesome.
But any more questions before we go? Or comments?
I was gonna start using it with water, because when
Oh yeah.
someone mentioned with how it works with plants,
Yeah.
I thought I'm sure this will do a very good job at charging the water, and then if you're gonna water the plants, to use that water, even to drink that same water, So I'm gonna really start experimenting with it, see what, because I'm sure there's some things that it can do that no one's even really thought of yet. So it'll be good that's why it's good to do these talks, because everyone's got a different experience and everyone's using their intuition differently as well. So one person might come up with something that no one's even thought of, and it's very powerful. So yeah, I'm gonna try using it directly in the sunlight, to have the sun basically going through here.
I've done that.
And also with water as well.
Yep.
So really use it with nature. And
I did that with sunlight. I had a leg cramp one day,
Mhm.
and it was very specific to, I have this little vein that sometimes bothers me on my legs since I was a little kid. And I used the sunlight through the hole in the DEEMS, and it was instant. Like I was feeling this pain, and then instantly with that sunlight and the intention and the DEEMS, it went away right away. So that's very interesting that you mentioned that as well. I'm sorry to cut you off
Yeah.
there, Dawn.
No, you're good. That was interesting. That's very interesting. I was just curious because I've been using it a lot, and I've been doing been getting into Reiki more and healing more and stuff, but memories, dreams, things that I've forgotten about have just been really back to
Oh,
back,
yeah.
and like, yeah. So I don't know if it's this or everything together, the more that I keep doing it and I keep performing the healings, but I wasn't a very visual, and when I'm healing, I sense, I can feel where there's more pulling and the tingling, the chills. I'll get messages, but I never had anything visual. And the first time yesterday I did for someone, I got a visual of his spine, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm guessing I gotta work on the spine. That was the first time that that's ever happened for me. So I did what I had to do, and then the person proceeded to tell me that they recently had a injury in their back.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm wondering if it's really helping, or just maybe all together, because it just maybe does help really amplify everything you have and
Mhm.
makes it better.
And it's drawing your gifts to the surface as well, the same way that who was it? Susie was saying that she felt the pain as if it was drawing the pain out of her body. Was
Yeah,
it
my
Susie?
back.
Right.
That was
So
me.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably doing the same thing with your, maybe it's bringing your gifts to the surface as well. You know, that visual gift that maybe you never thought you had, it's going to bring that, all of our gifts to the surface. This thing is, wow.
I'm
It's
getting
really cool.
chills just you saying that out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
I
oh
see
yeah,
it.
I see it. Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
witness of truth.
Yeah.
I know.
And the more you
Very
raise your
cool.
frequency, the more you're going to feel its effects as well. I notice I'm like, if I'm in a really good state, I feel it more. The
Yeah.
energy coming
Mhm.
through, and you can tell the difference definitely as well between if you're in the vortex side or the side that's pulling the
yeah.
energy out. Yeah. So
Definitely.
and it's very important to trust and believe as well. And
Has
whatever it is that
anyone
you're doing, yeah, it absolutely makes a difference when you trust and believe too, and
Yeah.
not to have any, I guess, particular intention. It's just to trust that whatever it's doing, it's doing for the highest good for you at that
Yes.
time. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, I have a quick question for everybody that I just thought of. When you first received the device, I've gotten this report a number of times, felt very powerful, energy from it. You could definitely feel it. There's no doubt, no question. So you're all into it at that point. But then a week or two later, it just sort of faded away for a while. Has anybody had that experience?
I had that experience.
Yeah.
I think it was just the body acclimating to it, and then that was the new baseline.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just establishing a new baseline is what I think, and then switching it makes a difference. Switching the ring around, I would say, can give you more subtle differences, actually even more than subtle, obvious differences. So definitely I did go through that. I went through that. I was just but I knew that it wasn't I wasn't disappointed. I knew it was just like, okay, my body's getting used to this, or it's like symbiotic, it's working together. Yeah.
Right.
And just leveling up. Yeah.
I didn't feel that, and I kind of still don't, but by intuition, I guess, for me, because I have to put it up like super. I like it
I
right
like
on
to touch
me.
it too. Yeah, I like
And
it too.
yeah,
Same.
I like it.
I was dizzy when I first got it, and I couldn't sleep with it in my room. It was
Wow.
almost like getting it was almost like when I got my citrine and I was like, okay, I can't keep the citrine in my bedroom because it was making it hard for me to sleep. Like I was having
Oh.
not anxiety or anything, but it was just so powerful. I could feel it. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to move this, put this away for a minute. And then it took a few weeks actually. And then I brought it into my room and I'm like, okay, I can handle it now. And now, like Dawn said, like, I like to touch myself with it. It's so soothing. And my son, he just came in and he admits it too. He's like, it's really powerful, really
Oh,
incredible.
yeah.
It works. Yeah, he just said it. He's like, Mom, it works. It
You can
helps.
pop in and say hi.
He's shirtless right now.
Oh, okay.
You want to pop over and say
My-
hi? No.
My older son did not. He was like, "Oh my God!" And I was like, "Okay." But we were watching a movie, and we were like, I was just rubbing the area that was hurting him, and he was like, "Oh my God, Mom!" I was like, "Okay,"
Yeah.
So but they're young adults and teens, So but they're open, so hopefully this will be the future. And yeah, but I did like you said, I did feel like it was like this. I felt an immediate difference. I was sleeping better, and then I got used to it. It's like a graph. It's like this, and then it goes like this. So, and then also I'm having already these symptoms, and I don't know what it is, but I guess just maybe it's just like consciousness expansion. I don't think it's necessarily because of the DEEMS. I think that's just my journey. So I'm already having like vibrations penetrating my body and skull without this. This just helps in so many ways. It takes to release the pain.
Yeah.
And the knots and the aches. And so it's good.
Well, I think that's great. I think it's important to understand that, like I said earlier, the DEEMS doesn't really do anything but provide energy to you. So we're doing the work, and it's basically it's like training us and reminding us of who we really are and what we can do.
Yeah, it's removing I feel it moving the stagnant energy.
Yes.
I mean, if I were to have an argument with a family member or a disagreement, and and it got too, everybody has these things. So these things manifest in my neck and shoulders. This helps. So this is when I start applying the DEEMS device. But that's like anything, as far as it's amazing. So but it's definitely just the tool. You have to work on yourself.
I wanted to jump in and say I've got a nephew who's on the spectrum who really enjoys the feeling of it. He can feel it. I would test it and be behind him to see and just hover it over like sneaky.
Wow.
Because I was really experimenting. I was like, I want to know, does he really feel it? And then he'd be like, I was like, oh my gosh, this kid can totally feel it. And he likes it. He loves it. He even rolls his eyes back. He's like, yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh.
Funny. Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been an amazing
Thank you.
interview with you guys so much, and I appreciate it.
Chris.
Yeah,
Thank you
and
so
we'll have
much.
to do it again in a couple months or so, and kind of get back and help people understand, because none of us individually know everything this thing is going to be capable of. So,
Do you expect this for more things to unravel? Are you predicting more I don't know.
I don't know, but I was just saying the other day, we
more
don't
domino
even know.
effects.
Sorry. Yeah.
I mean, with the use of the device, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yes. But I think it's really what it is. It's people making the changes and people evolving and people remembering and learning again how to do what we can do. We just have forgotten. And so this is just a battery for our energy body to do the
It's
work.
very grounding.
Yeah.
It's very grounding. No matter what you're going through, it will ground you.
Yeah,
That's-
it will definitely do that. And, you know, and having people like yourselves that are willing to share the story and how they use it, you know, what we're learning as a community. And I think that's just amazing. I love it.
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, to the audience that, you know, like, we're doing this of like our own, you know, our own violation. Like we weren't like coerced or asked, or we're not being paid. We're just real people using this device.
That's
And
right.
just sharing our experiences. So just so you know, this isn't like, you know, like a infomercial or anything like that. We're just, you
That's
know,
where you
we
got hurt.
happen to know Chris,
Yeah,
and
this-
you know, we want to
I'm
help him out.
wondering if you could, that's true. I'm wondering if you could use like a frequency. I don't know if if you touch this topic, if you can use like solfeggio tones healing through with it. I don't know. Have you thought of that?
I personally do. And that's one of the things in the electronic version of the DEEMS device that I'm having some software built that you can have a sonic device.
Cool.
So I'm spread kind of thin right now. Happily.
You're just one guy, Chris. You're just one guy.
Yeah, but I pull in
Yeah.
people that know what they're doing. I don't know
That's
how to do
awesome.
all this, you know. So we got some amazing people.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris.
I moved yesterday. Some people, I was lifting couches yesterday, okay? And I'm kind of stiff. So this whole time I've been quietly, secretly deeming myself. And I'm telling you, I feel so much better. So yeah. Yeah, it's
Awesome.
great.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So we don't have to be in pain as much as we are. And I think that's just amazing. So
For high anxiety.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, I guess we should probably
Thank
go
you.
this time. It's been an hour and a half. So
Thank you so much.
Thank
we
you,
could be on
Chris.
for another
Thank
hour
you,
and a half. But thank
Chris.
all of you
Thank you
guys
so much.
Thank you.
so much. So we'll see everybody later and look for more
Yes.
videos. We'll do our best to teach you how to use it as we learn.
So are we going to do
Yeah.
an event healing on you now, Chris?
Yeah, we could do that.
Group
Let me
healing.
stop our recording. So bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Okay, so we hung up from you guys, and then we started having a little discussion, and I remembered I forgot to thank a very important person for all the hard work that she does and for bringing these people together for us, and it's Tina. You know, so let's say thank you.
Yay, Tina. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you,
We
Tina.
love you.
Thank you.
Much
Yeah.
love, Tina.
Yeah,
Thank you very
so,
much, Tina.
Yeah, we love you and thank you for all the hard work that you do, hon. And we just wanted to get
Thank
back on and
you.
say thanks.
We
Yeah,
definitely appreciate who you are.
yeah,
Thank you.
100%.
Absolutely.
Our diamond,
Absolutely.
yes.
absolutely. Okay, bye again.
Bye-bye.